We're told to conquer fear, to eliminate it, push it down, pretend it's not there. But what if that's wrong? What if all that advice is actually holding you back? What if fear isn't the enemy, but the engine? Think about it. How many times have you let fear stop you? Stopped you from speaking up, from taking a chance, from pursuing a dream? Most motivational advice tells you to get rid of fear, to somehow magically make it disappear. We're going to flip that script, because the truth is, you can't eliminate fear, and you shouldn't want to. Fear is fuel. It's raw energy. And when you learn to understand it, to reframe it, to harness it, you can ignite your courage and achieve anything you set your mind to. In this video, we'll explore the science of fear, learn how to shift our mindset, and discover powerful techniques to turn fear into your greatest ally. Let's get started. Let's start with the basics. What actually happens in your body when you feel fear? It all starts in the brain, specifically in a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. The amygdala is your brain's alarm system. When it senses a threat, real or perceived, it triggers the fight or flight response. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your system. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets faster, your muscles tense up. You're ready to fight, flee, or freeze. This is a natural protective mechanism designed to keep you safe from danger. It's ancient, it's primal, and it's powerful. But fear isn't just physical. It's also deeply psychological. It's the racing thoughts, the negative self-talk, the what-ifs that spiral out of control. We catastrophize, imagining the worst possible outcomes. We fear failure, rejection, judgment, even success sometimes. These thoughts, these interpretations, amplify the physical sensations, creating a feedback loop of anxiety. And that's where we often get stuck. So how do we break that cycle? We start by reframing fear. Instead of seeing it as a stop sign, a reason to turn back, we need to see it as a signal, a compass pointing us in a particular direction. Fear is information. It's telling you something important. It might be highlighting a genuine danger that you need to prepare for. It might be revealing a challenge that will push you to grow. Or it might be pointing towards a deeply held desire, something you truly want but are afraid to pursue. Ask yourself, what is your fear telling you? What is it trying to communicate? Think about your life as a series of concentric circles. In the center is your comfort zone. Everything you know, everything you're familiar with. It's safe, it's predictable, but it's also where you stagnate. Outside that circle is the growth zone. This is where you learn, where you develop, where you become stronger. And guess what? Stepping into the growth zone always involves fear. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is a sign that you're expanding your boundaries. But there's also a third zone, the panic zone. This is where fear becomes paralyzing. The key is to learn to dance on the edge of your comfort zone, to push into the growth zone without tipping over into panic. One of the most powerful tools for reframing fear is changing your internal dialogue. Our thoughts have a huge impact on our emotions, so start paying attention to that inner voice. When you hear negative self-talk, I can't do this, I'm going to fail, they'll laugh at me, consciously reframe it. Turn I can't do this into this is challenging, but I'm going to learn from it. Turn what if I fail into what if I succeed. Turn they'll laugh at me into their opinion doesn't define me. It takes practice, but it's incredibly effective. Now let's get practical. How do we use fear as fuel? The first technique is incredibly simple, the 2-minute rule. When you're facing a task that triggers fear, Making a phone call, starting a project, having a difficult conversation. Commit to doing it for just 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes. Why does this work? Because it lowers the barrier to entry. It reduces the perceived threat. 2 minutes feels manageable, even when you're scared. And often, once you get started, you'll find that the fear subsides and you can keep going. Momentum takes over. Next, let's tap into the power of visualization. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself facing the thing you fear. See it clearly. But instead of picturing failure, visualize yourself succeeding. See yourself navigating the challenge with confidence and courage. Hear the sounds of success. Feel the emotions of accomplishment, of pride, of strength. What does it feel like to overcome that fear? Hold on to that feeling. Visualization primes your brain for success. It creates a mental blueprint for courageous action. Now let's talk about a powerful technique called fear setting, popularized by author Tim Ferriss. This is about getting really specific about your fears, analyzing them, and developing a plan to mitigate them. Grab a pen and paper or open a notes app. First, define your fear. What specifically are you afraid of? Write it down. Next, ask yourself, what's the absolute worst-case scenario if that fear comes true? Be brutally honest. Then, and this is crucial, how could you prevent that worst-case scenario from happening? What steps could you take to minimize the risk? And if the worst did happen, how could you repair the damage? How could you recover? Next, flip the script. What are the potential benefits of taking action, of facing your fear? What could you gain? Finally, and this is perhaps the most important question, what is the cost of inaction? What will you miss out on if you let fear hold you back? 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, what will your life look like if you don't take this action? Finally, let's talk about micro-bravery. This is about building your courage muscle through small, daily actions. Think of it as strength training for your mind. Every day, choose one thing that pushes you slightly outside your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be striking up a conversation with a stranger, speaking up in a meeting, trying a new food, taking a different route to work, sharing your work online. These small acts of bravery, repeated consistently, create a ripple effect. They build your confidence, they expand your comfort zone, and they make you more resilient to fear in the long run. So let's recap. Fear is not the enemy. It's a natural, powerful emotion, a signal that's trying to tell you something. It's a physiological and psychological response designed to protect you. But you don't have to be controlled by it. You can reframe it. You can see it as information, as a sign that you're pushing your boundaries, and you can use it. You can use the 2-minute rule, visualization, fear setting, and micro-bravery to turn that fear into fuel, to ignite your courage. Don't fear the fire. Become the fire.